Now, JTC 13, Cybersecurity and Data Protection, is a joint technical committee of CEN and CEN-CLC, two SDOs, which you loosely might call the European ISO and IEC. JTC 13 was established about 3 years ago to address horizontal security and privacy topics of the interconnected society and focusing and driven by the European market. Now, our ambitions include to become the European SE27, to become the European standardization focal point for cybersecurity and data protection, be recognized as a provider for best-in-class standards, and identified as an important partner for the stakeholders in this area, being it European Commission, being it agencies such as ENISA, being it other relevant bodies, groups, consortia. Of course, JTC 13 is a lot smaller than SE27. However, interest in our work is quite substantial, impressive, and we are proud of our membership and the more than 150 experts today that join us in defining cybersecurity and data protection standards, many of them also familiar faces in SE27. Now, for completeness, I've included our scope statement to this slide set, which comes in two parts. As you can see from this slide, the topics JTC 13 is addressing are quite similar to the scope of SE27. That's not a big surprise. And they include, for example, ISMS, security services, security evaluation and assessment, and data protection and privacy. Oh, sorry, that was too quick. And our approach to standardization has two main routes. A, not to reinvent the wheel, but whenever possible to identify and adopt deliverables from other SDOs as European norms, with SE27 being the most important source. Again, no surprise here. And B, to address additional needs via own development. When it comes to numbers, the second approach is not only minority, but a very small one. However, when we talk about resources, the picture looks a bit different. Now, DIN, the German national body, holds the JTC 13 Secretariat, and our committee manager is Martin Ulher, a colleague of Christina Passia and Sobi Mahmoud. And so far, JTC 13 has established 6 working groups in total. Number 1 is convened by Jean-Pierre Kemar, also a familiar name to this group. And Working Group 1 acts as an advisory group, not only for the chair, as its title suggests, but for the whole committee by working on business plans, roadmaps, outreach activities, and many other overarching topics. Working groups 2, 3, 4, and 5 are similar in scope to their sisters and brothers in SE27. So Working Group 2 deals with ISMS and controls and is convened by Ralf Eckmeyer from Austria. Working Group 3 addresses security evaluation and assessment and is convened by Miguel Bagnon, Spain. Convener of Working Group 4 is Andreas Fuchsberger, and the scope is cybersecurity services. And Working Group 5 deals with data protection, privacy, and identity management, and is convened by Alessandro Guarino from Italy. Working Group 6 finally completes the top-level view of JTC 13, and Working Group 6 discusses product security and is convened by Ben Cox from the Netherlands. So this is the top-level view, and next we will look a bit deeper in each of the working groups in dark blue. So that's number 2 to number 6, and this will be not in numerical order. Starting with 2, which is the working group strongly benefiting from working group 1 of 27. And as shown on this slide, a number of ISMS-related documents are currently being processed for adoption as European. While the next slide lists a number of successfully adopted ISMS standards that are assigned to Working Group 2, that is, the maintenance for these European norms is with Working Group 2. Now, what you may note on this slide is that the adoption of SE27 standards as European norms already took place before JTC 13 was established end of 2017. So we have 2 standards published as European norms here in 2017, and adoption takes a while, a bit longer than you might think and hope. So that indicates that the need for such adoption was one of the driving forces behind the creation of JTC 13. Next, I look into Working Group 4, which is dealing with cybersecurity services. And naturally, Working Group 4 benefits from the achievements of Working Group 4 of 27. There again, we have a number of standards in the adoption process currently. But on this slide, there's also one example for a new work item proposal that was approved recently in the area of managed security service provider requirements. And also in this case, you can see maintenance responsibilities for standards that were adopted before the creation of JTC 13. In this case, it's a number of specifications originating from SE27 Working Group 4 on or in the area of forensics and digital evidence. Working Group 5 is on data protection, privacy, and identity management, and has strong relations with Working Group 5 of SE27, but also a number of activities on its own. For example, the group is considering a guidance document for implementing GDPR, the European General Data Protection Regulation, a guide that is expected to be based on ISO AEC 27701, the extension to 27001 and 2 for privacy information management, listed also on this slide. So we also have a feasibility study here, and a feasibility study in CEN-CLC terminology more or less is the same, quite similar to preliminary work items in the ISO and IEC world. So terminology is a bit different. Much of the workload of our Working Group 5 was inherited from a previous joint technical committee CEN-CLC had established on privacy management in products and services. That includes work on data protection and privacy by design and by default, and on biometrics for access control. To name just two examples, JTC 13 has now been disbanded and merged into our Working Group 5. Working Group 5 also is responsible for the recently published EN 29134, which are guidelines on privacy impact assessment. Again, too quick, sorry. Working Group 6 on horizontal aspects of product security does not have a counterpart in SE27, so no adoptions in this case. Focus areas of Working Group 6 include security and privacy for consumer IoT devices, where we currently enjoy a so-called Mode 4 collaboration with JTC Cyber, with the intention to upgrade this to Mode 5, which is forming a joint working group on the subject. This joint working group is still pending approval by the so-called Joint Presidential Group of CEN-CLC, and JTC. Now further, Working Group 6 is closely monitoring various regulation activities underway in Europe and their potential consequences regarding standardization requests. And a final example for the activities of Working Group 6 is the maintenance of a protection profile for smart meter minimum security requirements, a document we have inherited from the CEN-CLC JTC coordination group on smart meters, and that was published last year. And because of the relevance to this stream of the conference, I will give you some more details on this project. So the target of evaluation of this protection profile are smart meters that monitor and possibly limit the consumption of various elements, could be electricity, gas, thermal energy, or water, and that are smart, connected both locally and via network interfaces. Now for this audience, the basic security requirements listed here probably are not surprising. So it's to ensure the integrity of the data, of the content the meter hosts, the authenticity and integrity of instructions, that it acts on confidentiality of data used to provide security functions, that includes crypto keys, and the confidentiality of sensitive personal information. And further, the firmware has to be protected from tampering by integrity tests and also by secure update methods being implemented. Security assurance or evaluation assurance level for this PP is EAL3+. Next, and this leads us to the final working group of JTC 13, namely Working Group 3. No surprise, this strongly benefits from Working Group 3 of 27, and as you can see, a number of adoptions have been completed earlier, 2020, earlier this year. Now from early on, our Working Group 3 has looked into so-called lightweight evaluation methodologies, and this has resulted in a new work item called Cybersecurity Evaluation Methodology for ICT Products. While the term lightweight has disappeared from this title, the approach is still lightweight in some sense, and the next two slides attempt to give you some insights into this project. So first of all, the methodology is designed to be suitable for and compatible with CSA. That is, it will support all three assurance levels defined in the CSA, namely basic, substantial, and high. And this is achieved by providing different evaluation blocks, including assessment activities that comply with the requirements of the CSA for these three levels. Second, the methodology is designed to be used both for third-party evaluation and for evaluation by some assessment body, and also for self-assessment. And finally, it's flexible enough to be used by different schemes and different verticals. That means it's adaptable via suitable parameters. And to achieve these goals, the following design principles have been applied. So the methodology is not to be used standalone, but only with parameters or requirements that are specified in the relevant domains or schemes. Now, currently, the methodology is intended to enable scheme authors to create such lightweight schemes, and lightweight here means basically that the burden on the developer is reduced sometimes by adding burden to the evaluator side. The principle, the methodology is suitable for the bare minimum as defined by the CSA, and also suitable for recreating well-known existing lightweight methodologies that exist, for example, in France, in Spain, or in Germany, and are named here. Currently, the project is at working draft status. We have the third working draft that was published in August. It's a quite substantial document. It's out for review and comment, and if everything works well, we should be able to initiate inquiry status. That is the first formal vote within CEN-CLC after the next JTC 13 plenary, and the next JTC 13 plenary happens in November this year. So that means by the end of this year, inquiry should start, and publication could be envisaged for 2021 next year. So there may be another voting step, the final vote, if necessary. But we are optimistic that we can publish this work in a first version during the next year. Now this completes the working group overview. And with that, when it comes to European regulations such as the CSA, it's my belief that JTC 13 is in quite a good position to be recognized as a partner of choice based on its performance so far, but also based on these strong links into the European Commission, for example, DG Connect or DG Grow, also DG Home. And on the other hand, to ENISA, the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity. In addition, there's the aforementioned strong collaboration with JTC Cyber, the third European SDO in this context, and the envisaged joint working group on consumer IoT security. So in this ecosystem, it's my belief we are well established to play our role when it comes to European cybersecurity standardization. Now, talking about partnerships, as similar as SE27, JTC 13 liaises with a large number of organizations. And that's certainly not surprising for an SDO focusing on horizontal standards. Partners include other SDOs active in a large variety of sectors, such as manufacturing, healthcare, or transport, but also SDOs focusing on horizontal cybersecurity standards, such as 27. And in addition, there's a large number of other organizations we partner with, for example, ANEC, EXO, Eurosmart, Global Platform, to name just a few. Two final remarks before I finish. The collaboration between JTC 13 and SE27 is according to the principles of the Vienna Agreement. So we have document exchange via the secretariats, the SE27 secretariat and or the JTC 13 secretariat. Nevertheless, both groups have decided to appoint liaison officers from 27 to JTC 13. This is Elaine Newton, and her email is visible here. And second remark, JTC 13, there's a 3 missing, is a European SDO. However, observers from other regions are welcome, and currently we enjoy participation of 2 such observers, the Standards Council of Canada and the Standards Institution of Israel. So that brings me to the end. Thank you very much.